So, I want to tell you a little story, and this will be a little bit different than what I normally do when I talk about a video. Usually, I'm showing you something like the screenshot, and I'm going to show you two screenshots in just a little bit to show you the news. So, the first thing is over the weekend, my daughter was at a birthday party, and so she's there. She's having a good time. I drop her off. I go and I do some work for a little while. Went to the library. Then eventually, I just went to my office at school and did my work there. Came back and I picked her up. And when I picked her up, like at the right time, I was exactly right on time because I didn't want to be like too early and then disappoint her, and I didn't want to be too late because if you're too late, that's kind of not cool. The parents are putting up the kids. At any rate, there's a lot of kids still there, and my daughter's happily playing, and I tell her, okay, it's time to go. But then I hear the dad talking to someone, a dad talking to another parent, and he's talking about the tariffs and how it's affecting him. Now, he works in an international business that is going to be affected by that. So the job that he works on, he imports so it's an international company that's based in the United States, but they design high-end scooters and bikes for when I say high-end, I mean you're talking like $5,000 to $10,000 range scooters and bikes. Like they're electric, like they have a motor, but it's an electric motor, so it's environmentally whatever. And so they create that. Then they build them offshore in Vietnam. Then they re-import them here into the United States or into Canada or Europe or wherever. Okay, so that's the kind of organization that he works with. Well, of course, this last week was pretty devastating for him because, well, you know what happened with Trump's tariffs on pretty much every country around the world except for, say, Russia and Belarus and Cuba. I'm trying to think. I think North Korea is in one of those few that was not affected because we just don't trade with North Korea. Okay. At any rate, so he's pretty affected by that. So because their main headquarters is in Vietnam. Vietnam, if you don't know, has high quality manufacturing base that like China outsources to Vietnam very often. And so it's a weird thing. Like we outsource to China, China outsources to Vietnam. Now he's not part of that process. He does this directly. Okay, so he was talking to this other parent, and I'm like, okay, well, let my kid play for a little while longer. She's having a good time, and so I just kind of eavesdrop and listen to the conversation, and then finally I muscled my way into the conversation, just asking questions. I wasn't like, pushy or anything, and I try not to do that, but I was asking some targeted questions. Now, one of the problems he was talking about the problems with tariffs. And one of the problems is he kept talking about it as if it was reciprocal. It is not reciprocal tariffs. And what I mean by that is if you have 30% tariff on us, we're going to put a 30% tariff on you. And then, maybe you adjust up, or we'll adjust up, or you adjust down, we'll adjust down. And that'll be great. It wasn't that at all. What the Trump administration actually did was something far weirder, and I'm not sure that I fully understand the point of it. So what Trump did was simply look at the ratio of imbalance of trade and use that as the barometer. So if they import $100,000 of worth of stuff into us and we try to export to them and they only take 10,000 stuff, well, there's a huge trade imbalance from his perspective. I don't know why that matters, but okay, let's say. I mean, we're getting the cheap stuff. It's not like anybody's putting a gun to our head to actually buy the thing. And so we're getting a better deal than we otherwise would have gotten somewhere else because we bought it from here. Okay, at any rate, so that's how this works. Okay, so he kept talking about reciprocal. It's not that. And I asked, well, like, it's not because, and I explained what I just explained there. And then he was like, okay, well, here are the problems that he had. First, he was trying to explain like, okay, there's a deadline, and there was a deadline of this, like it was supposed to take effect, and we don't know when exactly it took effect. And now if you look at the screen, I'm going to put this up, the Vietnamese are asking Trump to delay implementation of tariffs while the two sides negotiate, because they're actually asking for it. Now, they were slapped with a 46% tariff rate, which is among the highest in the world, which is absolutely crazy. The reason that people were building in Vietnam is because it's cheap. And if you do it in Vietnam, then it's going to, you know that it's going to be cheap. The labor's cheap, and the quality is good. And a 46% tariff rate means that that's going to radically change the amount that they're going to have to charge consumers that are coming into when it comes into the United States. And so, I mean, it could very well bankrupt this kind of business if they don't do something differently here. So when goods are considered here, though, he was asking, okay, so I had goods that were on the ship on the way here. Are they considered here, like when the tariff takes effect? What about goods that get from the ship onto shore? Are they considered here? Like, are they grandfathered in once they're on the shore? Because they don't actually reach their end destination point with customs until they actually get from off the boat into by rail into their factory or their warehouse in Chicago. That's where they clear customs. So is that where you finally declare that they are actually, finally here? And if so, does that beat the tariff? Are they grandfathered in? So he had lots of questions like that. And then he had other questions like, well, okay, so he promised to sell to end users at various stores at a particular price point, but now he won't be able to reach that price point because he can't sell it. He can't be underwater. Like he can't sell it for less than it's actually costing him after the tariffs. So yeah, he has to make a profit out of this, and now he's got a real quandary. Now, I'm telling you the story because he's not alone. There are a lot of people that are in the same kind of boat. They have a problem with, there's a lot of agitation in the economy right now. And he's not the only one who's experiencing this kind of problem. Then he was thinking, okay, well, if we move from Vietnam, it'll be a painful process, but maybe we can move somewhere else. Maybe we can go to, and I think he floated Bangladesh. I don't know what the tariffs are in Bangladesh. I haven't looked those up, but maybe we can go there. And okay, well, we got a whole different problem set, and you have to retool and rework out your supply lines and everything else. But even then, you still might have a problem. Now, the upside for him is that he's in Vietnam, and part of the solution is that a lot of manufacturers that are there are like banding together, trying to work this out. And that's why you saw articles like the one that I was just showing you here, because those big industries like Nike is in Vietnam. Think about a 46% tariff rate on your Nikes. You're already buying them for $100. It's now going to cost you $140 some odd bucks for your Nikes. So buy your Nikes sooner than later if you're in the United States. But there's also some hope that they're actually going to be, like, Vietnam's probably going to be the first one. They're trying to drop. They're trying to drop the rate down to hey, let's get rid of our tariffs. How do we do this? Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to be successful, because if they're talking about just reciprocal rate, well, drop for drop would be fine. But if it's about imbalance of trade, that's a whole different problem set. And again, he's just one person who I just happened to run into at a kid's birthday party, and this is happening everywhere. Okay, other issues here are happening, like it's affecting all industries pretty much everywhere where there's importing and exporting, and there's going to be lots and lots of dislocation. What does this have to do with Ukraine? Well, nothing directly necessarily. Like it had 10% on Ukraine. That's not much. That's not going to be all that terrible to them. But indirectly, the world's in upheaval, and anytime the world is in upheaval, that's good for Putin. Like the rest of the world is agitated and like, what's going on here? And that's good for Putin. Now, on the other side, if they can get this worked out and work out, like if Vietnam's like, hey, let's take all these tariffs off. You take them off, we'll take them off. Let's try to work that out. If they can get free trade agreements with a lot of countries, and this could be almost accidentally what happens as a byproduct of what's happened. Canada was talking about this kind of thing, and Vietnam's talking about it now. Elon Musk was floating the idea of a free trade zone between Europe and the United States. That would be all but magical for free trade. I mean, that would be wonderful for it. I mean, you'd still see a trade imbalance, but trade imbalances don't really matter. Free trade is what matters. The tariffs that you assign to each other's countries, that's what matters. We'd all be better off, and it's yet to be seen what's working, what will work out of this. Okay, I promised you another article, and I'll show you this in just a moment. It's Elon Musk says he hopes for zero tariffs and freedom of trade zone between the U.S. and Europe. Not making that up. I showed that in my 3, which is actually 15 big stories today. And wow, like that would be really, really significant if that kind of thing worked out. And yeah, that I think this, as Ukraine would be cut into that, and Russia wouldn't be part of this puzzle at least anytime soon while the war is going on. And that would be a remarkably great thing for everyone all around the world except for Russia. Okay, well, at any rate, let's see how this all plays out. Thank you for your time and listening to me. I hope that provides some context about what's actually happening with these tariffs. They're not directly related to anything with Ukraine, but it's still important to understand what's going on and why. Thank you for being the kind of person that cares about what's going on in the world and what's going on in Ukraine.